feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go.
Brian Giles with BrianGilesMTG, and this is Final Thoughts. I had a little bit of a mishap. I had paused the video to look up the name of something that I was going to talk about, and when I came back, I accidentally hit the stop recording button, and there goes my video. So, where I started off my original video was, I talked about, because my last video, my second video talking about Ahsoka, it ran long, and I didn't get really to the end of it. And the end is basically, you kind of had all these mixed feelings at the end of the season. You felt good that Ezra got back home. You were really terrified of what Thrawn's plan was with all of those casket thingies he was loading onto his Star Destroyer. Are they Night Sisters? What are they? What is that? Is it Kyber crystals? We don't know. We don't know. That wasn't, that was something that's supposed to be for the next season. We saw, but didn't get any kind of fleshed out things. We at least understood Shin's story, where she was going. Was her idea of power was power in leadership, power in numbers. She was the dark side to Balin's more light side leaning of. He wanted to be the father that brings balance to the Force. Both dark side and light side balancing. He was truly what a lot of people call a gray Jedi. And that term hasn't been really firmly established. And we were sad that Ahsoka, Sabine, and Huyang were stuck in the other galaxy. So that was the end of that video. I went on to kind of delve in. Now that we're done with the Mandoverse, we're going to go back into the filler, what's kind of commonly called the filler stories. There's been two filler movies already. There was Solo and Rogue One. Solo, a lot of people didn't like it. I'm not really fond of it either, much like I'm not fond of the sequel trilogy. I don't think that it was written right, and it basically gave you some backstory into Solo, but really didn't mesh or expand your knowledge and love of the Star Wars universe in itself. It didn't really add anything or subtract anything. It's just there. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why it's called filler. It's just filler to give you an idea, if you want to watch things chronologically, of where Han Solo and Chewbacca came from, and the Millennium Falcon and all that. That story and everything. The other filler story is Rogue One. Now, Rogue One, you really needed Rogue One because it fills in that gap of how did Princess Leia get a hold of the Death Star plans? Why were they running from the Empire and Vader? And that gives you that whole backstory that leads into Episode 4, New Hope, which was, you know, the first released movie of Star Wars. And it introduced us to Jen Erso, the daughter of the designer of the Death Star. He created it with a flaw that could be defeated, because he never wanted to do it. He was basically roped into doing this. He walked away from it because he knew that, you know, no good thing could come of this. But he got roped back into it. His wife killed. And people believed that he was the bad guy. And people never got to know that he was really the good guy. The guy that provided the way to destroy that thing. And that story needed to be told. And I still think that the story about, you know, the Bothan spies and how the second Death Star plans were delivered, even though it was the plan of Darth Sidious. I mean, like I said, Emperor Palpatine was smart. He could play the long game. He'd been doing this for years. Worming his way into the Senate, worming his way to the top of power. But once he got on his throne, he became overconfident in his abilities. And the Force itself worked against him. Because while Jedi have trust in no one, the Sith trust in those around them. I mean, the Sith don't trust those around them, but the Jedi do. Even though they're not allowed to love, they have to still have each other's backs. So, the story of Rogue One needed to be told, and it introduced us to Jen Erso. It introduced us to Cassian Andor. And this was a lovable character because he was very roguish, very standoffish. He was a Jedi to get everything done, you know, no matter the cost. And Andor grounded itself as a ground level, street level Star Wars show. No Jedi, no Sith, no Empire, no Separatists. The rebellion was just beginning. The seeds of rebellion were just beginning. And it's just, it starts off explaining, you know, where Andor came from. He came from a mining planet where all the adults got killed in a tragic mining accident. And the kids were left to fend for themselves like Lord of the Flies type thing. So when at this particular time is at the end of the Clone Wars, there's still some separatist ships here and there, and the Empire is cleaning up the last of the separatist movement. And, they have an accident on a ship, and it crashes on Cassian's planet. And he goes with the leaders of the tribe to investigate, and leaves his little sister behind. And one of the survivors of the crash ship shoots and most likely kills the leader of the children, whom Andor has fallen kind of smitten to, and he wants to prove himself to be kind of like, you're worthy of me, I'm worthy of you. So when they go, they kill the last survivor and carry off the wounded and dying leader back to the camp. Cassian stays behind to investigate the ship. And this is all new to him. He's never seen this before. So, at that time, some junkers come to raid the ship of its resources, knowing that the Empire is hot on their heels and will be there soon. And, so they're trying to get as much stuff as they can before the Empire gets there. And they find Cassian, and they basically kind of abduct and adopt him as one of their own. So Marva and her husband raise Cassian as one of their own, along with their little droid. And the Empire comes in. It's taking over. The Empire's everywhere now. And as Cassian's growing up, and there are people that don't like the Empire, what they're doing. And they start some trouble, and Cassian's adopted father, Marva's husband, tries to intervene, and he gets killed for it, hung in the square, as an example, because the Empire are basically Nazi-esque dicks. Please pardon the language. Oh, and pardon the spoiler warning. Sorry, I didn't do that because this is the second video I'm not thinking about where I was and not what I did. So for those of you who got spoiled there, I'm sorry. But this is my final thoughts on this show. It was very good writing. The seeds of rebellion were just starting, and you're trying to hide the fact that you're being a rebel. With Mon Mothma being a rebel and trying to start the seeds of rebellion with Luthien. And Luthien is like the ultimate double spy. I mean, Luthien is almost a better Star Wars version of James Bond. He has different identities. You never really get to see the real. I mean, the real Luthien is what he reveals himself to be to Andor, because that's what Andor needs to be the person that he becomes. Andor's family hated the Empire from. I mean, they were, trying to stay out of the. And Marva said it in her death speech, is that she was asleep for so long that you've just, the idea was just accept things as they are, just let things flow. And that's some of what happened, in Andor verse 3 with the Doctor, him being, after the talk where he's in the theater, and afterwards, the Empire, rebels, separatists. I get them all confused because they're the rich people out there, and they kind of touch that off on the sequel trilogy, which I will not touch right now because I don't know where the sequel trilogy is going to go. But it's just let things go and let things accept that this is the way it is. And Mon Mothma couldn't do that. So, it's getting late here, and I'm going to get to the end of this. Andor needed to be told. It was some of the best writing of any of the Star Wars series. Any of the Star Wars, most all of the Star Wars movies, some of the best writing. Luthien's speech to the ISB spy was probably top 3 of all movie TV show speeches ever. Some people even rank it at number 1. It was amazing. What do I sacrifice? Everything. He knew his end story. He knew that one day he would have to sacrifice even his own life to make sure that the rebellion survives. He was the one that knew how to make the hard choices. And that's what Andor needed. He needed someone to show him, you need to be the hard choices. The prison scene where Andy Serkis's character, the motivational speech to get the prisoners to fight their way out of the jail, knowing that he couldn't swim, that he would never leave that jail alive. That jail cell, that prison was his own personal hell. But he helped everybody escape from hell, only to be trapped there himself. Kind of like how, the risks that Sabine and Ahsoka had to take, and Huyang had to take to get Ezra home in the Ahsoka series. You have to sacrifice sometimes. And again, like I've said in previous videos, I've applied some of that in my life. I've had to sacrifice a lot of things in my life. I mean, I've lived, in a monastery, basically, a Christian discipleship for many years, because I had no other home. Here, I'm having to sacrifice the comfort of my own mother because she needs better care than I can give her. So what do I sacrifice for all this? What do I give of myself for all this? Everything. That's my thoughts on Andor. It was the everything that we needed. So hoo-ha, have a great day. See you on the next video.